Hey, welcome back, knife nerds. Everyday care people, it's your boy, the Big Canucker, and we have got ourselves a budget offering today. It happens to be the QSP Penguin. Now, the QSP Penguin, I'm just kidding. It actually happens to be the QSP Penguin. Man, I was gonna call it the QSP Penguin, the whole review, and just to see how many times you guys would call me out, or how many people would say, holy cow, that dumbass. QSP. We have got ourselves a budget offering. Now, this happens to come from a company called QSP, which actually the QSP stands for Quality Service Price. And they have been in China for quite some time here. I think they opened up their doors in about 2017. And so they have making themselves a range of knives, right from the very low expensive budget offerings up to some pretty high titanium offerings. Now, before we have a look at this knife, don't forget to hit the old subscribe. Don't forget to like this and share this too as well. And I would love to hear a comment because I feed off that. It's like candy. All right. So let's have a look at this. Now, did I like this knife right off the bat? I did. When I first put this in my pocket, and I've been hearing about this for quite some time, and I was thinking, okay, well, what is this? I mean, this happens to be, a QSP Penguin. It's got a great utility designed here with this sheep's foot blade. It's 3 inches of D2 steel. It's got some black micarta handles, and it's got the things that I like on deep carry clip as well as your lanyard hole. And I thought, well, this thing is going to be an absolute no-brainer. I got it in, liked it, but then you know what? I got this very shortly afterwards, and I ended up trying to. Oh, this is such a gorgeous knife. This Glen Laconico semi-custom Jasmine. Oh man, I just love this knife so much. So I ended up. It kicked it right. That Laconico kicked this right out of my pocket, and I was like, well, geez, I probably would have reviewed this a little while ago, but I ended up kind of putting this back in the pocket and getting a little bit better feel for it because it's just like, I don't know, it's like picking up, I don't know, it's like jumping into a high-end Chevy Malibu, and then from there your next ride is a Cadillac Escalade, and you're like, well, do I want to go back to that Malibu? And I didn't. But going back to this, I like this a whole lot better after I got the taste of that Jasmine out of my mouth a little bit. And I ended up thinking, well, this does have quite a bit going for it. Now, one of the things it has going for it is an incredibly smooth pivot. This knife happens to be around $30 in the States, 30, 35, 38-ish here in Canada. It's right around $50 or so. And there is a whole lot of competition out for that knife. And one of them happens to be here, a Ganzo, one of these Ganzo Firebirds. This one happens to be, I think, the FHP 27, I think is what it's called. FH922, and I ended up getting this from my buddy Canadian Cutting Edge, and I absolutely adored this knife. And so this one I happened to really just I liked it. I think this knife is a good all-around knife, and that gives you an idea of kind of what the size is. Here happens to be another budget offer. You can see that it's it's a 3-inch blade. We'll put a something else beside it here. How about here this Osborne? We'll put this 940 Osborne so you can just kind of see. The handle wise, it's got a fairly big handle, but 3-inch blade, and that 3-inch is still in that EDC type of style. 7-inch total, blade length 3.25 inches, cutting edge is 3 inches, and of course it is a Warncliffe style blade with a D2 steel, and D2 is tough, good edge retention. It's a really, really good steel, and it's one of the budget steels that I like the best. I can get a D2 edge just absolutely singing where it's cutting, time and space, and it can get so sharp. Now, here on Blade HQ, they call this a fully flat ground, but it's not. It's kind of a high saber ground, and you've got this kind of flat piece, so it is there is not a crazy it's not like a wedge that's going to be cutting, into an apple and breaking it as you're cutting. It does cut extremely well, especially the cardboard. I mean, I love cutting cardboard with knives. That seems to be my main thing, and this happens to do it really, really well. Now, the handle length is 4 inches, and the weight is 3.45 inches. It is left and right to tip up carry only, and you can see that it has a really, really deep carry clip, and it is a really good clip. It does hold the knife in there really, really well. Not only that, the texture of this micarta is not so bad that you're going to be losing your jeans over a couple months. You've got that kind of pocket tear from a lot of the really grippy G10. But conversely, it's not the kind of knife you'd want to take into a Vaseline factory. It doesn't have the really, really grippy micarta. Sometimes that micarta seems to be, the wetter it gets, the grippier it is. And this one doesn't seem to be that way. It just seems to be more, almost like a really smooth G10. Even though you can kind of hear that and you can see the fibers in it, it is a micarta. Just not, I don't think it's a great micarta from what's out there. It's got a couple of steel liners in here, and they seem like they are, they don't seem like they're skeletonized, but it's still at 3.45 ounces. It's not crazy, heavy. Now, it does have a liner lock too, and it's, I think they call it the Michael Walker liner lock. That seems to have developed it. It does fire out there really quite good. I mean, the ergonomics on the firing, on the opening, is actually quite good. Leaves a little to be desired with it's a little bit of a boxy knife. Like, I mean, your hand doesn't melt into it, and the jimping here is not thumb ripping jimping. It seems to be more for looks than it is for actual grippiness. I know there's some micarta out there that you can kind of put it'll tear your thumb out. This one doesn't. That is good on QSP. They ended up kind of machining some of that down, and that's what they talk about in one of their their little blurbs about their company. They do lots of CNC machining. They do water jet cutting. The fit and finish of this knife is actually quite good. There's no real I could see nothing that was really terrible. The centering is actually the centering is quite decent. The blade thickness here, I think this is about 2 point some millimeters here. Blade thickness is 0.11 inches. I'm not exactly sure what that happens to be. Does it say here 0.11? I don't have that up, but I mean, I'd say probably from the look of it, probably 2.7 inches thick. And the thickness goes all the way to the tip. So the tip is really, really bust on this knife. This is a really good kind of utility style knife. I mean, I don't think that it is. I mean, there are knives out there that are great looking knives, and then this is an okay looking knife, but it is a really utilitarian cut. The cut of the actual blade itself, I mean, it is really, really nice. There's no real, because sometimes you can, when you see the machining process, there seems to be a little bit off. This seems to be very, very uniform on both sides. So, I mean, the fit and finish, I think, is excellent on this knife. Now, would I recommend this knife? I think so, but I still think that there is so much for the money. There's a lot of really excellent budget offerings out there. This one happens to be a good offering. Not quite great, but maybe up to just kissing the great, but it is still good. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably say this is about a 6.75, almost 7. It just loses a little bit on just not as grippy as it should be. The jimping here could be a little bit more grippy. I just think it could be. It's just a little kind of boring also to me. I mean, if you're going to have some fun with a budget knife, this one is a fun knife. I mean, I love the flipping action on it. It rockets out. It's just, this is, I think, for the money here. Now, this is about a $27 knife. This is a great knife for the money. It's got this wire clip on it. They both deep clip, but the wire clip is arguably a better clip. It's got the flipper tab, where this has got the thumb studs. The flipper tab is way more fun to do. it's just this seems to be, even though they're kind of a little on the square side, this is a little thicker, a little more comfortable in the hands. It's just, I mean, perhaps it had the bad luck to be coming right before such a great knife as the Reda Conical Jasmine, but I also think it's just a little bit failings of its own self, just a little bit. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of a budget offering here from the Big Canucker. I hope that you guys, please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice, the shine side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.